Welcome to Haiku Talk. I'm your host, Ben Ga, your friendly neighborhood haiku poet. And today we're going to be taking a look at a haiku from Jennifer Hambrick from the latest issue of Wales Haiku Journal. So sit back, relax, and let's haiku. Okay, welcome back. This haiku is featured in the Wales Haiku Journal, which is an online only journal at waleshaikujournal.com. Put the link up in here. See it somewhere. And this is from their latest issue, the autumn 2021 issue. And it's a very nice poem from Jennifer Hambrick, and it goes like this. Not as long as it used to be. Summer day. Not as long as it used to be. Summer day. Lovely poem. And it's one of these pieces that just excites me because when a haiku really works, you see it and you read it, and it's almost like the poem has just always existed. You know, all the words are in just the right place. Everything is in just the right order, and there's just no room for anything else to occur and to appear. And it also works on multiple levels, and we'll get to that in just a moment. At first, we're going to break the poem down like I do for each issue or each episode, and we're going to start with its format. This one uses a very common technique, as we've seen in many episodes already, which is the fragment and the phrase. In this case, Jennifer switches it around, so the phrase comes first, and the fragment is the last line. And it's the juxtaposition of the phrase here and the fragment that makes the poem pop, that makes things work. In a previous episode, we talked about a cutting line, which used a middle pivot, and the middle line kind of sat in between the first image and the last image and pulled it together and made it pop. In this case, we have just a line break. And so that phrase comes first. In this case, not as long as it used to be. And that third line is the fragment of summer day. And now let's take a look at this poem line by line and see how it works. So the first line is 3 words, not as long. It's a nice way to kick things off. It's 3 words, nothing specific, but because it's the beginning of a phrase, we're compelled to read forward to that second line. So it doesn't really ground us in anything. It doesn't give us any sort of real context. It's just the opening part of a phrase, which becomes the first line. So not as long. And that line break wraps into line 2, which is as it used to be. And so that second line completes the phrase of not as long as it used to be. Perfect. Lines 1 and 2, very common, very succinct, very simple language, nothing throwing you for a big curveball or anything, except it sets up kind of a mystery, and you want to know what is not as long as it used to be. And that's what compels you to read to the third line. And so that phrase, opening up with a phrase without any grounding to it, really compels you to read the rest of the poem. And you get to that third line in this case, which is that fragment, and that's the piece that after the drama of the line break in line 2, we're set up for line 3, which is summer day, and that makes the poem snap together. Suddenly you have this full moment, you've experienced it, you know exactly where you are, and you're more likely wanting to reread the whole poem over again, because now you got to the ending, you got to that third line of summer day, and now you know what the whole poem is about. And I know for me, I get excited and I want to reread it again, so I get to experience the whole thing, knowing now what the context, what the poem, what the moment's about. And so again, that poem is not as long as it used to be, summer day. Now, it's one of these poems that's just great. It's so, like, the top level meaning is so there, so obvious, so fresh, which is it. So when a summer day is not as long as it used to be, that puts it near the end of summer, when the days start getting shorter rather than getting longer. And so that is weighted with lots of meaning, right? And so when that's the suggestive language that's being used here in haiku. I often talk about the 3 S's of haiku language: simple, succinct, and suggestive. And so we're suggesting the time of year by saying that the summer day is not as long as it used to be. And when you think about summer days not being as long as they used to be, I mean, man, there's all sorts of possibilities of meaning here. It can be the very actual upfront meaning of the day. It's the summer's waning to an end. And so the days are literally not as long as they used to be. Also, if you're a man like me or a person like me that's getting on in the middle of their life, you've heard I've heard all of my life from people older than me that time moves quicker, that everything kind of speeds up. That 5 years can go by very quickly. When you're 10, 12, 15, 17, 21 years old, the idea of 5 years going by quickly just seems crazy. But when you're 45, 5 years can go by very quickly. And suddenly you think about when those summer days start to shorten, you start to think about other things, about other parts of life starting to shorten. You start to think about how those summer days that used to go on forever when you were a kid, you think back when you were a kid and you were off school and it was summer vacation, even at the end of summer, you still could stay out late, run around, play with your friends, do whatever you wanted. And it seemed like those days would never end. And now as an adult, those days, they do end. For us in the working world, when those days get shorter, when you leave work, it's dark, it's not a fun thing. And you know that's coming when the days start to shorten at the end of summer. You start to feel that. You start to feel the ball rolling towards the end of the year holidays, towards ending another year, towards a whole nother year passing, a whole nother section of your life moving forward. And suddenly this short little poem talking about the way that the days at the end of the summer get shorter has a ton of weight and a ton of meaning. And this is just an excellent poem. It's a very good issue. Again, it's Wales Haiku Journal. It's online. You can access it for free. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to go to check out and learn to haiku. You can read it. It's all on one big strip of poems down the page. It's easy to read on your phone. Just scroll with your thumb to read through the issue. I know some folks that I talk to really like issue journals that do that. This is well formatted for reading on your phone. And as you go through the issue, as I did, certain poems pop out at you, and it's great. This one really jumped out at me, really hit a soft spot within myself as as somebody that's getting older, as somebody that's noticing the darkness that comes closer and closer to you. I'm not trying to be morose or anything like that, but you become aware that you're at closer to the top of the hill rather than starting out at the bottom and to climb up, and that does start to weigh on you. And man, Jennifer really knocked it out of the park here. Great work, Jennifer. Thanks for writing this poem. And again, check out Wales Haiku Journal. And that's going to be it today. Nice short little piece. Again, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit like if you like this episode. It helps the channel. Subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell to get notifications when new episodes become available to you. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.